In 3, 2, 1, setting up your meeting for YouTube. All right. Yes, we are live. Okay, so here's the new link. We post that to okay, so I posted that to the other chat. So we are live. We'll get this ball rolling one way or another. So, all right, here is the new link for everybody in the other meeting. If we can share that with everybody publicly. I'm pretty sure I just tweeted out the wrong link in a couple of places. I updated Discord and yeah, okay. All right. So we'll get the link shared out with everybody, and we'll go ahead and get started. Sorry for the stream problems this month. Welcome everybody to July Merge PHP. Glad you all can make it. We are a collection of user groups, PHP user groups here, and we do monthly meetings for the last couple of years, and we post the videos online. We've got a YouTube channel that you are now watching us on, and we're glad you can make it. So we're going to go through a few slides and tell you about each of the groups. Chris is here, so go ahead and email Chris at Milana PHP, and you will be entered to win. Well, actually, first person to email Chris when the person doing the intro says so, gets a JetBrains license. So that's pretty cool. Thanks to Chris and Josh also for that. Chris, were you going to say something?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah, and check Milana PHP out on Meetup. Yeah, so there's a bunch of links to all the groups. So we're mostly on Meetup. I think we're all on Meetup. So second group here at Boston PHP, that's led by Bobby, and every month they do a virtual self-study led by Gene, and that is a self-paced study group that's run through the Meetup group, and you can sign up, and they do a different learning journey about once a quarter, and that's just kind of ongoing. So if you're wanting to skill up and you want some free learning and learn with a few other people, definitely check that out. Austin PHP, that's me and Ian, and we're doing a PHP conference, Longhorn PHP, and there's a Slack and Discord group that you can join us there. And everybody, if you're on Slack and you use Slack the most, we've got one of those, and if you use Discord, we've got one of those as well. Ian, you want to say a few things?
Yeah, sure. Quick note, the CFP for Longhorn PHP has been extended a little bit. The last day for that is a week from today. So if you have talk ideas and have not submitted those yet, please do so. Likewise, I expect that for second week of August, we will have that schedule live. So the Blindbird rate for the conference is currently active. That's the cheapest that the tickets will be. Hotel block is open as well. Likewise, if you want to sponsor, the current sponsorship prices, they'll go up once our schedule is announced. So get your sponsor dollars in as well.
All right, thank you, Ian. Seattle PHP, that's Tim. There's some info about Seattle. Tim, you want to say a few words? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. That's okay. Not everybody has to say something. Maybe Tim's not ready. We did not plan like everybody says something, so no worries. Tim's there, and maybe he might have stepped away for a sec. Vancouver, and we're officially international with Vancouver. The PHP Vegas user group, Vegas programmers on Meetup, that's run by Joshua, OG programmer. And thank you to Remote Dev Force for sponsoring Merge PHP and helping us out with things. So definitely check out Remote Dev Force if you need some remote dev help.
Yeah.
Oh,
also, if anybody wants a JetBrains license, email me at josh@remotedevforce.com and I'll hook you up. First person to email me.
sweet. KCPHP, that's run by a few people, Eric, Dan, and John. And check them out on Meetup. They do coffee shop kind of in-person events. KC's got a lot of coffee shops, definitely some good coffee to be had, and always some good conversations. So check KCPHP out. Utah PHP, that's Mark and Derek. They're on Meetup there, and welcome everybody from Utah. All right, San Diego PHP. So everybody who loves surfing from San Diego, welcome. That's run by John and Eric. They have their own website there, sdphp.org. Check them out, and they run a conference as well, PHP Tech. So thanks to John and Eric. And our most recent group, Alina from Portland, and they've got a Cascadia PHP conference. Check out Cascadia PHP there. There should be some announcements coming up soon. We have a Meetup conference, not a Meetup conference, a PHP conference slide here coming up soon. So check out Portland PHP on Meetup there. And your monthly reminder to update your PHP versions. Thank you to whoever was the organizer that updated this slide. It is current. And it helps us all remember that we should be using current versions. Upcoming conferences and events. So we've got a few, this is not completely current, but Laracon coming up here pretty soon in Nashville, and we are developers in soon after that. API conference, Cake Fest, and of course Longhorn PHP, and CFP is open for one more week. All right, you can find us online, social places. php.social is a really good place. I think a lot of us moved over to Mastodon for a lot of things. I've been having fun on Threads, but we don't have an official presence on Threads yet. So check us out on PHP social, phpc.social, if I can get it right. And next month, so Mastering Resilience, Christina Aldan, brand strategy consultant there. I believe she gave a talk before. A really great speaker. So definitely check us out next month. All right. And if you're interested in giving a talk, mphp.io/speakers. We're definitely accepting and looking for speakers. We're always looking for speakers. All right. So thank you for joining us. We're going to be talking about WordPress CLI stuff today. And it's not just a live demo. Yeah, if you've ever used WordPress before, yes, there is a CLI, and we're going to learn all about it tonight. And I'll pass it off to our speaker here, and we can get started. Thanks, Melania.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna start sharing screen. Okay. So, WP-CLI is a WordPress command line interface, and it was a long time when I last saw Drush or Drupal. I think it's about the same, or someone who already is using it can see and tell us after how different or similar they are. So as any CLI, you can use it as simple or as complicated as you want, however comfortable you feel. I kind of have these 4 levels of using WP-CLI, so you can use it, everything you can do in WordPress dashboard, creating posts, managing, whatever, everything you can do that there in clean install, no plugins, just a default theme. You can do the same with WP-CLI. And then you want to do maybe something more, you want to list cron jobs because everybody does, but then in dashboard you have to install some plugins to be able to do that. With WP-CLI you can do it right away on clean install, you don't need any plugins. And then of course you want to do more, you maybe want to export just parts of database, or you want to create a plugin or theme. There is no plugin for that. So we on 3rd level we came to the point where you can do more with WP-CLI on clean install, and things that you cannot do in WordPress dashboard at all. And now there is another level on top of that, and that is you can create a custom WP-CLI command with WP-CLI command, and that's a nice inception. And some of very smart plugin authors and hosting companies have been doing this for years. So when you get to hosting, you have a project, you'll search a little bit and oh my God, there is SSH access. And then you find there is WP-CLI, but then you dig a bit more and you find their custom WP-CLI commands, so you can do stuff on their server much faster, and everything is just beautiful and you love your life. So now that you know a little bit about it, you want to start using it, right? And I don't have any computer or server without it. So I can't really show you how to install it. But here is a documentation. So if you go to make.wordpress.org, CLI, handbooks, guides, installing, and you will find you need only 3 commands, 3.5, actually only 1. So this one will make it work. You download PAR and it's working. And with this half of command, you can check it and it's working. It does. It doesn't officially support Windows. So there is a little bit of back and forth, you know, setting it up to work on Windows. But if you have Linux like myself, or you have Mac, you know, any Unix system is fine. So now it's working, but you don't want to type PHP WP-CLI every time you want to run commands. So what you do, you make it executable, and then you move it to somewhere in your path. This is the most common naming, WP. You can call it whatever you want, of course. Just keep in mind, once you install it, you will do a lot of copy pasting from Stack Overflow and documentation probably, and all other insecure places. So you might want to be consistent and do what's already there. So WP is the most common. And now when we have it installed, you can do WP info, and now you can see my, if I need to make this bigger, just tell me. I hope it's visible. So you can see the system I have PHP, I'm up to date, 8.1, but almost dead. And the latest WP-CLI version is 2.7. So this should be about showing you what you can do as PHP developer. So my really favorite thing in WP-CLI is that you can use aliases, and you can create alias for any remote or local WordPress website that you have. For remote, you need to have SSH connection enabled. So you do the SSH key pairs and you connect to your server and everything. And after that, you can create a simple alias, and you can run commands on that server from your local. And alias is configuration of WP-CLI in your local computer. So it doesn't have anything, it's not connected to actual WordPress website that you have on your local machine. So usually when you run command, you have to go into WordPress install to run command. But because this is a configuration of your local computer, then you can just run it from wherever you want. So I can see all the aliases with WP-CLI alias list. And here I have all of them. So this is kind of scary and convenient. When you create one custom alias, you will have this all created and you can run commands against all aliases you have. Be careful with that. You can also create aliases for a group of websites. Maybe you have, production and staging and local, and you can create alias for all those three and then update core WordPress for each of them in one run. So here I have some, you see, this is SSH, so this is remote. This is for my own website, and then this is my imaginary client that I usually harass this website during talks and workshops. And I have a few of them that are local ones. So how does that look like? So you saw this command, and usually WP-CLI commands have the same structure, but only this alias command is for the CLI configuration, so it has this CLI here. Usually what you will have is WP, then you have some none, which is some entity you want to work with. And after that, you have some verb. So what you want to do with that entity, and you will find a lot of similar verbs for different entities, like list, create, add, delete, remove, generate. And after that, you have flags. So if this command and subcommand like none and verb is not enough for you, you can really refine your command or query or whatever you are doing with flags, which are actually, arguments of the function or parameters. And after that, or anywhere during this command, you have available global parameters, and there are a number of them. One is help, which is usual for all CLIs, but also you can find all of the commands and all of global parameters under help. So if you go WP help, you can see all of these are entities, and there's quite a lot of them. And now we have global parameters. So you can do a lot of stuff here. And let me introduce you to the most favorite global parameter in the world. It's prompt. And maybe we will see today. I don't know what's going to happen today because we are going live. Okay, so how does this alias thing work? I show you that I have set some aliases. So if I want to connect to my remote server, my imaginary client, I could do it just SSH, you know, the usual way. So it's Milana web and my port number. I'm there, and now I have WP there, WP-CLI there as well. It's a bit outdated, but I can now run commands from there, but I don't want to. And first thing why I don't want to is because I don't memorize port numbers. I don't do that for anything, and I don't ever want to start doing that. But with alias, I don't have to. If you remember, it was called client. So when you want to work with alias, you type WP and then you say client, and then run command as you would without alias. So I can say for version, for example, and it's current version. I can outdate it, I can update it, whatever. So I can okay, let's get the URL of it. It's option get home, and the internet is okay. So this is my imaginary client website. Here you can see a lot of dummy content here. And let's say I want to do the same for my local. This is one of locals, and it's been just installed like 20 minutes ago, or maybe a bit more, 1 hour ago. Okay, so what I want to do is, which is always like a nightmare for developers, I have remote server, I have a website there, maybe it's my new client, so it already exists, it has production, and I have this freshly installed local, and now I have to get the database from there to here. And it's super fun and super easy with WP-CLI and aliases. So I'm going to chain a few commands here. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually export the database from the remote server. So WP client, and I'm going to say DB export. Now, if I run it like this, it would export it in a file somewhere on the server, and it depends on the server, how it's set up. It's not always the root of WordPress. It sometimes, you know, go up in the root of the user, and you can't really get it from outside of server. But with if I say minus here, I will get this database exported to standard output. So I can do with it whatever I wanted, and I want to use it as an input for another command, which will be WP-CLI. So this is my local WordPress, and I'm going to say database import. And again, I'm not going to use the file. I'm going to use the standard import input. So I'm going to use minus. And now, as you know, when you export database from one website, it has all the URLs from that one website, but what you want is URLs for the new website. So I'm gonna do WP WP-CLI, this is alias, and I'm gonna say search replace. So I'm gonna replace things in database on fly. And first parameter is old URL. So this is this one, URL. And the second parameter is new URL. And so this is just one command, and this is not, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't chain it properly. I had to say here, and okay, so now we should have it running. Usually it goes a bit faster, but it will happen. Okay, so now when I refresh, I have all the database here. Now, this is not done. There are more places in database. What you see here, this is the only place it changed, but we have here differences between HTTPS and HTTP, and also not all URLs have been like full URLs. So what I'm gonna do now, you can see that here, if I go to the post, it will go to remote one. So not everything is changed. So I'm just gonna run it here. I'm gonna do this to replace all the domains like this. And we are gonna do another one where I'm gonna replace all the HTTPS with HTTP. Now I could change all of that as well, but this, oh, okay, this wasn't expected. Now we have this post and everything is changed. So I think this was the fastest, you know, export import database that I have ever done in any environment. And the best thing is it doesn't leave any file, it doesn't leave tracks, it doesn't do anything. You just do it on fly. And with the different setups, it might not need to do it again, you know, to replace things. But the point is, it's very fast, it's clean, it's and it's joy. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing that is very useful for PHP developers is a command I used too many times. I'm not gonna admit how many times. So you can imagine, for example, this remote server, remote website. Maybe it's my client. I haven't worked with them for a while. I changed the login URL so that, you know, it kind of increases security for WordPress, and we all know that security for WordPress should be increased. So I changed it maybe, and I told my client to change it again so that even I don't know it. And let's pretend clients always do what we tell them to do. So now, after some months, clients calls me or send me email and says, I cannot access the login URL. I don't know which URL it is. Everything I tried, the usual one, WP admin or login, just doesn't work. Send them to 404 page. So what you can do, you can go to database and search if you have access, which is boring, or you can run one WP-CLI command if you have aliases set. So you of course want to do the second one, and we live in perfect world where we all have SSH access to servers, and every server has WP-CLI available, right? So we can do this, and the command is again WP client, and it's evil. So you can execute arbitrary PHP code with one command, and I'm gonna say echo, and it happens to be that I know the WordPress function for getting the login URL. It's WP login URL, and I'm just gonna add a new line here so that URL is actually usable. And here it is. So this was very fast and easy. And you can, execute any function. You can, I usually used it because I was doing a lot of integration with third-party APIs. And sometimes I needed to import data to WordPress just once. So I didn't need to use cron jobs or anything. I had functionality. I wrote it, I put it on server, but I didn't want that to be executed at any time except under my control. So that's when I use this. I just went to SSH there or use alias and executed the function. So it would populate everything and just once and never again. And there are other, useful use cases for that function, for that command, sorry. It's 1 a.m. here. So another thing that is very useful is WP shell. And right, so I have to go to WordPress install to run this command, and I'm gonna go to this local one. Okay, and now with WP shell, I have PHP shell open, so I can do like PHP info, and I will get all the info in my terminal, or I can run any WordPress command like get users, any WordPress function. And here is this one user that I have imported from this imaginary client website. Okay, let me close that one so that we are on this local. Right. And I'm sure you can imagine how useful this could be. You can, get things to see what function is going to return what. You can do a dry run just to see what's going to happen, but not really run commands and functions. And after that, another useful thing for PHP developers is, let me just get out of here. Sometimes we have custom stuff in database that you can't really get out. You can't export that data with any plugin or anything. Like if we go with users, WP-CLI has option to export users. So you saw there what you get returned by get users. There's, let me get it back. So you see, it returns ID, login, password, nice name, email, all these data, then capabilities, then all capabilities, and where is the I don't see the role, but that's okay. So there's a lot of it. Maybe I just want to have 4 fields. Maybe I just want ID, username, password, and email. Maybe that's all. So I can do that with WP-CLI. I can say WP user list, and I can get help. Yeah, I can use fields, and then by fields, I can define fields here, what I want to get out. And by the way, these fields are exactly the same name of columns in database, and it's the same parameters you would use in get users function. So everything is much easier you don't need to memorize too many things. There are no different things. Everything is exactly the same as in database. So user list, and I can say fields. I said ID, and then user login, and user pass, and user email. So it will give me here this table. This is the output, but I can also say I want this in users CSV file. And now I have users CSV file. And if I open it, let's say with code, no, let's not open it with code. Oh, let's just use nano users. So you see it has the name of the column, and then it has all the data. Now this is very sad to have only one user. I'm gonna say user generate, and it will generate 100 users. So we have something to work with. And you can generate posts, users, pages, menus, a lot of things, comments. So you can have, dummy content very, very fast. You can even put it in bash script, and it's a joy. Okay, so I can do this with, I can export users and only specific fields in a file with just one command. That's not a problem. But users are, the core objects, entities in WordPress. Sometimes we have something custom that we don't have WP-CLI commands for that. Now you can write command if you are going to do this a lot, or you can just write a PHP script that you will execute with WP-CLI. So let's write a script, Dutch, and let's say export users PHP. Let's open it with code. Move this here. Right. So let me first show you a few things you can do here. So let's say okay, let's get users, and let's meet our users. Now, if we want to execute this file, we are going to type WP evil file. So that's the command, and name of the file, export users.php. So if we run it, now we get for every user, we get this object. And now we can find those 4 fields that we wanted. So if we go to get, this is slow, get user. So the parameters is array, and what I want is I want to get fields, and again you see it's all the same. So I'm gonna remove this and I'm gonna say array and then fields. And it was ID, and then there was a user login, right? User pass and user email, right? And we want to do this for WordPress coding standards. And now when we get them, for example, maybe I want, let's run just the loop and let's see if we are going to get all of them. So let's say for each users as user. So now I just want to have here something like message for me in terminal. I can say echo running running user user login. Right? So, and it's ugly, it's not usable, but let me introduce you to internal APIs. Now, with this, we can add, so for output, we can add like success messages, we can add log, which is just usual message. There is also error and other stuff. Let me just do log. So if we add it like this, like that, and in WordPress, we always like to set everything ready for translation. And the text domain would be, for example, WP-CLI. Okay, and now if we run it, now you see it looks better. If we say here, success, it's gonna add graphics, it's beautiful, right? Okay, so now we know that this is running, and now you saw a little bit of internal API. And what we want to do now is we want to write all of that into CSV file. And for that, we are going to use PHP function fput CSV. So here is the example. We already have oh no. Hold on. Right. So what we have here is we want to open file, and I'm gonna, so these spaces are WordPress coding standards, and maybe it's annoying, I don't know, I just got used to it and I can't see the file, the code without the space, so bear with me, please. So let's say this is users PHP, and this is for writing. If we want to append, we could go to, we could say A, so you all know this documentation, you can go and find what are parameters. Writing is just fine for me for now, and I'm gonna put this here. So it's gonna be user, but we're gonna have a problem here because this user is object, and what I need here is an array of strings, and we have array of objects. So I think I can use it like this, like array, maybe, I don't know, I think, but I'm gonna just make another array here. So user array, and now I'm gonna take these here and let's do it like this to make it efficient. User, right. So this should work, and then we are going to say here user array. So if we run it now, we should get this new file CSV that is populated with all the users. And let's see, users PHP. Yep. And here you see, but here we don't have the names of the columns. So that is the difference between the one that was exported with WP-CLI command. And this one is just what I guess we can make it here, but I'm not gonna go there. And now when we export, we also can import, right? So we can create another, I'm not gonna teach you PHP here. So we can create another file where we can import all of that into another, or maybe the same WordPress install. Again, you can use a lot of other things here, like you can execute in this PHP file, you can execute the actual WP-CLI command. So that's a nice, what would be the word, inception, right? So you can, for example, say, I don't know, this could be put in script for importing. So maybe you want to delete all the users before importing them. But right now, I might just want to list all the users. So if you use it like this, you will omit WP at the beginning. So I'm just going to say user list. And now when I execute this file, it lists all the users and then do this. Or if you want to show it in a table, you can do that as well. I'm gonna comment out this. So it's also the output and it's formatting items. So it looks like this. Right, so when I finish, maybe I want to here. So format, you can choose several of them. I want to have a table. And then items. For items, we need to have an array of arrays. And I'm gonna just say here, items, array. And then here, I'm gonna add this user array. And fields are actually the headings on the table. So what I can use for that here is this one. This one. So now it looks that should be right. And here we have this table. And for the end of WP-CLI for PHP developers, I want to show you scaffold command. Scaffold command will scaffold few things. Let's see. So you can scaffold block, but it will be removed in next version because we have node scripts for that, and they're pretty good. You can scaffold child theme, plugin tests, post type, taxonomy, theme test. Underscores is something we call now a classic theme. So this is not theme that is using blocks. So it would be not really up the latest WordPress development, but it could be useful, you know, to learn what should be there in a theme. And why I love this, because when you want to create a plugin, and then you have to go to documentation and see what files you need there and what should be, what is the standard, what is required. With scaffold command, you don't need to do that. You can just run command and it will get you all the files you need. So you can just create a plugin and, you know, just write your own code that is specific for your plugin. You don't need to repeat anything, copy paste or whatever. So I'm going to say plugin, and now there are number of parameters that I don't want to memorize. I don't want to memorize anything in my life. And with WP-CLI, I don't have to. I can use the most beautiful global parameter in the world, and it's prompt. So it will prompt you with every parameter there is. You don't have to worry about typing or, you know, what are their names, whatever. You just type what is unique to your plugin. So slug will be, I don't know, maybe merge PHP. And directory, if I want different directory to be called differently than merge PHP, then I can define it here. And you see now these square brackets, that means that parameter is optional. So we have only one mandatory parameter for a scaffolding plugin, and that's a slug. Plugin name, merge PHP. Plugin description, we don't have a time for that. Oh, this is PHP community. And outer URI, we don't need that. Skip test, do not. Default continuous integration provider for WordPress projects is Travis, but if you have something on your own, you can, you know, define it here. Activate, yes. I don't have a network here, so I don't care. Force is if I already have a directory with the same name. If I want to override it, I would say yes to force, but I don't have it. And okay, so we have it now. Let's go to plugins folder to see what we have there. There it is. Merge PHP. Now, if you take a look at the files you have been, and there is script for, I actually forgot for what, but you already have an example of script that you can use. You can start writing your own tests. You are ready with npm and grunt file. So default task runner for WordPress projects was grunt until Gutenberg. After that, we moved to Webpack. So this is really not updated, but this grunt file has a task to gather all your strings for translation and create the pod files that we are using. So it's useful. You can convert it to Webpack if you want, but you can use it like that as well. And I want to show you the README file. So this is not an empty file. This is actual template for WordPress.org. And you can see here we have the title, we have what else? We didn't add description. So there's not much in this file, but you have everything ready, so you can just go and change things that are unique to your plugin. And now we want to actually create this plugin, right? So let me open this. Okay, let's make it in code. I already have code open. We don't have to create it in terminal. Merge PHP. And here you see all the other stuff like PHP community that I added while I was scaffolding. And if we populated everything there, you will have all of this populated. So let me just do a short plugin function, merge PHP, the title. Again, WordPress coding standards, there are spaces, return, and I'm gonna, so always escape and prepare for translation. I'm gonna say merge PHP, and our text domain is merge PHP. And I'm gonna append title here. And this will hook to a filter that's called the title, and our callback is this one. Okay, now if we go not to, oh, okay, this one, right. I don't know if I'll be able to log in. Okay, let's do this. WP plugin list. So this is active, okay, and this is what should happen, right? So every occurrence of the title function will have this merge PHP in front of it. Now, not very useful plugin, but as you can see, this plugin has all the files for WordPress.org, and I wrote only this little function. And if I had more time, I could add everything else that's needed, and this plugin would pass the code review at WordPress.org, not because I'm so smart and my code is wonderful, but because I have everything that's needed and I didn't even think about it. So that's another very helpful command for PHP developers. So don't, reinvent the wheel. You can just use what's there in your terminal, and you even have all documentation in your terminal. You don't have to leave terminal at all. And with that being said, my name is Milana Cap. I am WordPress engineer at XWP and WordPress Documentation Team representative. You can find me on these places if you want to talk about PHP, about WordPress, about WP-CLI or classical music. I'm a classical musician as well. And this has been fun. And thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Melania. I learned a lot. I use WordPress CLI for basic stuff, installing core and updating plugins and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that scaffolding stuff's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just being able to, create different things really quickly and easily. I didn't realize there was so much you could do on the command line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is like just 4 commands that we went through, there's so many more things that you can do. And you can even create your own custom commands. So, the sky is the limit.
Yeah. So this, I imagine this works great for server that, where you have SSH on the remote server and you have WordPress on the remote server. The traditional VPS setup, that we're all familiar with. Like, how well does it, or how useful is WordPress CLI if you're running like in a container environment? Does like I'm trying to think of like the Canasta, or I don't know how to say it. Like I know there's specific hosts that just do WordPress in containers. Do they have like an equivalent thing?
Well, there are hostings that are really just like specific for WordPress, but there is also a WordPress VIP hosting that has every WordPress website inside of Docker. So they have their own commands and everything, and it's running. It's useful. It's not the same command like this, like you have to modify it a little bit, but there's documentation and it's working. Yeah,
cool. Awesome. Yeah, it's that is definitely helpful to know. I'm sure there's like a way, and sometimes I guess they'll give you maybe a console like in the website or something, and like they'll drop you into the WordPress CLI, so you can use it remotely. But as long as you're familiar with it, then you can kind of work that way. That's cool. And that being able to migrate sites, right? I think knowing,
Yeah.
like understanding like how that works, the search and replace stuff is
Yeah.
super useful if you ever dealt with WordPress before. And so being able to do that on the command line without installing like a separate little script or a separate application that does that, like that's super cool. So I think everybody should know about that.
Yeah.
Yep. So we do have a question, and so do you have you kind of went through some different code basic examples, like, and maybe it's kind of like on the fly and stuff that you've probably done, like, you know, in your day-to-day stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But we do have a request, like if you post like, or if you have a previous example and put it on your GitHub of kind of like
I
what you
already
went through
have it.
today. Okay. Okay.
Yes, I already have it. So my GitHub is ZZAP, and you can find it under my. I can post a link on Meetup.
Oh, can you send it here in the chat in the Zoom, and then
Yeah,
I
sure.
can post it on
Hold on.
YouTube to your GitHub.
Hold on. Yeah, it's
We'll
already.
do it on the fly.
Yeah. I actually gave this same workshop yesterday for a platform, learn.wordpress.org. And so I made this repository for them, and you can find there also all the commands that I ran, and both export and import users scripts.
Awesome. You're prepared.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't for them, but for you, I am.
All right, so I'm gonna post it here on the YouTube chat. Any other questions for Milana from YouTube, or our other organizers want to hop on and ask some WordPress questions? Milana is clearly an expert and knows way more about WordPress than all of us. So now's your chance. We're currently on version 6. It's been a while since I looked at WordPress releases, but is there any timeline or idea on when like the next major release is going to happen?
Oh, well, right now I think it's gonna be 8 August for 6.3. Right now it's so next week on Tuesday will be release candidate 1.
Cool. So probably not WordPress 7 by like 2025 or something, maybe.
Well, I don't know. We are doing like 3 to 4 releases for a year. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Probably like a year and a half. The next big one.
Well, we don't actually, that's not a big one. Every we have it differently, like 6.2, 6.3, they're all big ones. And yeah. And the small ones, like security ones, are the like 6.2.2, you know, but we don't have those like on, yeah, it's different.
I had forgotten how that worked. But that's good. What's the most common WordPress CLI thing? Do you use it to update plugins and update sites frequently? It seems like that would be.
Actually, I don't really use it for that. I use it for every time I have to do something in bulk, like a lot of stuff to do, like deleting posts or the most recent was I had a request from client to go on bunch of posts and add them to another category, and that would be like that was the SEO advice from the agency, and that would be a nightmare to do in dashboard, and it was just one command line, like
Boom.
it was done in 2 minutes. So yeah,
Easy.
yeah, easy.
Yeah. Right. And so, yep. I don't see any more questions. Last call from anyone. And that is, stick around here. We'll end the stream and then we'll chat for a bit afterwards. Okay. One. All right. We got one sneaking in here. Alice is saying, I'm thinking of adding the fundraising section to the site. Do you have any suggestions on how to implement that? So she's doing like a WordPress theme for a local library group, and so wants to add like a little fundraising plugin, sounds like.
Yeah, well, there are a million plugins, and I'm sure there are some for adding that. I don't know them on top of my head, but in plugins repository, if you go to wordpress.org/plugins, you will find a lot of them. You can search for fundraising and you will find a bunch of them, and then just go and look like what was the latest updated. You don't want the old one, and take a look at how many open and fixed issues there are, so they are working consistently on that, and maybe ratings from users, and then you will get your answer which one to use.
I'll always go with the existing stuff if you can. It's always helpful. How's testing like? What's test like if you're writing a unit test or something? Do they use PHP unit? Like I think I saw testing in there when you're running the plugin scaffolding thing.
Yeah, well, testing is a bit of pain point for WordPress. Yeah, we have a few libraries for testing just WordPress, but WordPress is not really testable, 100%. It's just written that way. It's very legacy for some parts, and not all of it is tested actually. So the last information I had for last year, I believe, was that 20% of WordPress was tested, and even that was just happy pads, and only 12% was really like tested, so it's scary. It's very scary. And it should, we should refactor the PHP parts of it to make it testable, and to but there are enthusiasts. We have a team for testing, and we are trying to do that. So yeah, you can write tests, but mainly that's for your custom code, because that's what you can control, and you can write it to be testable, and a lot of that in WordPress is not testable yet.
So I mean, we definitely like should increase the tests on Corv, and I'm glad that the community sees that as a goal, but there is like, if she does decide to write her own plugin, there is a way to add tests to the plugin.
There is.
Okay. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, thank you so much for the talk. Thank you for getting up in the middle of the night there and
Yeah.
teaching us about WordPress.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone. And thank you for joining us and join us next month for a really great talk and happy coding, happy writing PHP. We hope you can join us next month.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you talking, Milana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Milana.